progressively getting better, and we're getting more professional at this podcasting.
Well, first of all, welcome back. Is that what we're doing?
Are we doing welcome back?
Of course, right?
Welcome back.
You got new mics. You got to shout out some new mics, too.
Professional production quality is being elevated. What are we now?
Are we still popping on the popping? Is it popping like it was before?
Nah, this is going to make us sound like Joe Rogan. This is going to make us sound like...
You went to Spotify recently.
Spotify, $100 million deal.
Is that what it is?
Bro, if we can get 1% of that, make like $100,000 a year.
Is that how much that is?
I think so. It makes sense.
I'm not good at math.
I'm okay at math. The point is that if it took Joe Rogan 11 years to bring, and he's in the thousands, like as far as episodes, he does like 2 or 3 a week. Right. The man works hard at what he does.
Yeah, I've noticed that too.
To be worth, and it's over $100 million projected. That's what everybody's saying. I mean, that's a new wave that we're stepping into. I remember when we're going evolving from radio to satellite radio, and Howard Stern got that deal. That was a big deal, $200 million.
Yeah,
I think this is the next.
That made him like one of those players, right?
Yeah,
I know he was before, but that really like solidified him, and one of the first to get that kind of deal, right?
Yeah, and we've seen the evolving of like open-ended conversation versus a lot of segmented production
segments and stuff,
where a lot of programming, radio, TV, whatever, back in the day used to be like you're trying to catch your attention as fast as possible in the least amount of time.
Right.
It seems like now people enjoy the long-winded conversation.
Yeah, for sure.
It feels more natural.
This is a benefit to us.
Yeah.
And the ramblings that we do.
We definitely ramble on. If that was my disorder, it'd be rambulation.
Nah, man.
Rambulation.
What is that?
That's my disorder.
You just made that up, though.
Yeah, but if I had to make that a disorder, it's not a disorder to be able to talk and like be able to listen.
Think about the name more.
We're at episode almost
50 something.
Okay, and in that, I think we've been able, like when we first started doing this and we did the doctor episode.
Yeah.
There was a little bit of uncomfortable energy.
Yeah,
there's always going to be some type of uncomfortable energy,
especially on my part.
Well, as far as us, even though we're friends behind the camera, it's really dope to see us be able to evolve with the conversation. Like I said this in a couple episodes, I think episode 30-something, when I was like, oh, we're like a yellow belt, or like, trying to add reference to like the degrees of podcasting.
Right.
There's an art to conversation, to debate, to arguing, and where you stand, And one major thing that we're going to discuss is the fourth wall.
Right.
And the reason I'm going to make that part of this episode is because I constantly ask, where do we hold our responsibility as media in always... We've noticed when we started the podcast, the most important thing that you guys seem to like, as far as our listener, all 155 of you subscribers and people that are not subscribed, you guys like crime content.
Crime mostly, yeah.
Mostly stories of struggle, stories of just crazy things. It seemed to be entertaining. So I asked
like
us...
Capo style, gangster style.
Yeah.
The guy from Tampa, what's his name?
Central Traficante.
Check
that episode out.
And then the
Last Cocaine Cowboy.
The Last Cocaine Cowboy from Kissimmee.
That is our number one hit.
Yeah, man.
The Last Cocaine Cowboy. There's something about the Cocaine Cowboys, okay? There's something about the outlawness of Florida that people are attracted to.
Right.
So this story about Mario Trabraway.
Trabraway?
Yeah.
Like with a C?
No, with a T. Trabraway.
Trabraway. Marco Trabraway.
Mario
Trabraway.
Mario Trabraway was a guy in the 80s that was one of these cocaine cowboy guys, okay?
Oh,
even when they were making Scarface, which is another crazy part in this story, is how much did Scarface help or make worse the cocaine cowboy lifestyle. When we seen Tony Montana for the first time,
Tony Montana,
people began to be the same way we used to look back in the day, and I wasn't born at the time, but when you would look up to like Clint Eastwood or Elvis Presley or James Dean, there were certain character that was like cool, had you know
related
a
to,
certain
maybe?
edgy rock. Yeah, it was an edgy kind of thing about this character. And you know, maybe some of them were outlaws, some of them lived on, you know, their own by their own rules. That's
Right.
what made these people so attractive to us. I think after Tony Montana, that character started to be a popular, like, oh, I want to be like Tony Montana.
kind of reckless.
Yeah, big
Go out, blaze of
gun,
glory.
come from nothing, come from a poor
Come
country,
from the bottom. Take
build
what
it
you
from
want
the top. Take by any means
by
necessary.
any means necessary.
And-
Get down or lay down. Benny Siegel.
Yeah,
That's paid in full. The
what's-
whole movie, really.
with some morality to it, because there's a scene
Don't
in
kill
Scarface,
kids,
don't kill
yeah.
kids or whatever,
Yeah.
like animals, right? This guy had tigers and stuff.
Right.
Well, this guy, supposedly, when De Palma and Oliver Stone were writing and directing the movie, while they were in the trenches, because see, like a lot of these movies, these gangster movies, they get made post, right? Maybe 10, 20 years, right? Like Blow and any of these, like, not to say that Tony Montana was based on a true story. It wasn't. But a lot of the stories within the story of Tony Montana were actual things.
Mm-hmm.
And according to some of the articles I've read and some of the behind the scenes of Scarface, De Palma and Oliver Stone used this guy that we're going to talk about today,
Marco Trabaye.
Mario
Call
Tabrawe.
him Mario
Tabrawe.
Trabrawe.
Say Broadway, but add a T.
Broadway. What?
Broadway.
Broadway, but add a T?
Broadway.
Broadway.
Yeah, Broadway.
Broadway. Holy shit. This is like rural for you. Mario.
There's a picture of Mario,
Mario
and I'm going to show you
Broadway.
guys. This was a picture that basically, if you see this picture, this is actual Mario. Okay, now I'm showing you guys his face. Now watch as I scan down.
Yo.
What does that look like?
That's definitely Tony Montana.
That's Tony Montana.
Tony Montana.
So-
The Montana? Is it Montana or Montana?
Montana.
Montana.
So Tony Montana's character was.
There is a
loosely-
Montana though, right?
No, I don't think
A
so.
famous, yeah, I think there's a famous Montana. Anyway, I'll get back to that later on.
So this guy Mario basically was the inspiration for the Scarface character.
Broadway.
Broadway. There you go. And a lot of the scene, you remember this scene? I'm gonna play this scene real quick.
Do I remember this scene?
Hey, Antonio. Mira. Watch what happened to your friend.
All right, so we all know the famous chainsaw scene.
Hell yeah.
So this again didn't exactly happen like this, but Broadway was involved in a crime where a DEA informant was killed and chainsawed to death.
Wow.
So we're going to learn all these facts about the story. Another big reason we're bringing this guy up is I'm sure all of us have seen Tiger King, the Netflix series.
I've seen memes.
You have not seen Tiger King?
I haven't even watched one episode of that.
Why?
You
feel like it's
I
too
don't know.
popular?
No. You know, I could sit here and talk about like how it's kind of like, you know, how people how people would judge it or whatever. But I've honestly I don't have any interest in it. It's not even like because it's about trash shit or tabloidy type whatever. I watch trash. I mean, I used to watch Jersey Shore, so like
It's more than that, though. It's like the character of Joe Exotic and the other characters, which you know, this guy Mario was not just a cocaine cowboy. The reason why he became a cocaine cowboy is that he wanted to fund his habit of exotic animals. So this guy Mario,
wait, he decided to be into coke and make money with coke because he liked animals.
he had such
The reason
Yes.
he became a
Yes.
coke
Yes.
How?
Okay, first of all,
How do you prove that?
we know from the research that we've done, the extensive research we've done in Miami, that was just an industry. It was a crazy industry going down. So
exotic animals or cocaine?
Cocaine, my friend.
Okay.
I would say that because of cocaine,
exotic
animals also became an industry. But a lot of things became industry. All those big ass skyscrapers in Miami is cocaine.
That
money.
was your argument for like why it was a good thing because it made Miami what Miami is today.
Well, here's my other argument.
Okay.
I think that it's our fault. People like Tony Montana, like To Broadway, exist. Okay, because if there wasn't a demand. Us as people, us as society. I know I always go back to this argument, which is it the egg or the hen or the hen? Which came first, okay? Is it our absolute indulgence and our affliction with the craziness of outlaw culture and just living beyond your means and being absolutely, the most indulgent you can get? Is it our fault that we thrive on these characters? Is it our way of vicariously always living through characters like this that create characters like this? Like, why would Oliver Stone and Brian De Palma go down to Miami, which was the capital, the murder capital of the world at the time, to write a story knowing that they were going to basically be creating a hero drama based on a drug lord?
There's a lot of reasons they might have did that. You could speculate that they did it just to make a good story because it's entertaining.
Is that what we're doing when we talk about characters like this? Like, why is it that we
drama is always more entertaining?
So we have a fault in it there.
Why?
Because some we crave it.
Because some
the
people
same
can't,
way we have that craving for cocaine, the same way cocaine is a fucking plant.
Some people can't separate fact from fiction, or regular movie shit from I need to go market or blueprint my life after this person. So you want to blame, the media, whatever that means, and
us. You're part of it.
I think we talk on the internet, right? But media is such a blanket statement that anybody could kind of be media. So,
but we want to be successful.
People throw around media, and it gets confusing depending on what the context is of you saying media, right? So, right. I'm just saying people want to blame the media, right? Because it gets exposed and it gets put on the forefront a lot of the times. But we're trying to feed it to people that want this. If there's a demand for it. Why was Tiger King so popular? There's a demand for debauchery. It is.
We like to see people explode right in front of us. That's why you need to go home and watch it, okay? Because you're going to be, your mind is going to be jerked off with so much awesomeness. I'm literally taint yourself with this goodness.
But I'm not interested, though. That's the thing. I'm just not interested. No. I know I've seen the memes and I kind of get the gist of it. No. It's not something that
you should watch.
Fire Festival. Remember that whole craze?
That is awesome.
No.
And the guy sucking dick was a great part of it, right?
But I'm saying, it has nothing to do with anything other than the fact that it doesn't interest me. It's like me going out to look at Netflix for the cooking bake-off show. It's like, it's probably good. I've seen an episode. Yeah, but it's entertaining.
This is homework. It's entertaining. You're a meteorologist.
But it's like, it's not, I have no interest. It doesn't, I literally don't want to wait. I'd rather waste my time watching something like The Rookie, ABC's The Rookie, which is like a terrible show, but it's so satisfying, right? I don't want to.
Listen.
This shit is so stupid sounding.
Listen. I get you don't eat McDonald's no more, okay? I get that you have this vegan lifestyle that is probably
don't
is
feed into the
mixing
narrative.
Your high chakras, but you need to see Tiger King because people like this, you need to remind yourself that people like this really do exist. Okay?
I don't have to remind myself of anything. Where do I live?
You need to see Tiger King.
I see people.
Tiger King. You like and Shauna need to sit down and watch Tiger King.
I promise you Shauna's not going to watch it.
And laugh at other people.
I promise you Shauna's not going to watch it. Once she gets her mind set on something, it's not happening. You ain't gonna hear Cardi B in the house, and you're not gonna see Tiger King on the television. I promise. Those are two things she's adamant about.
Out of all the crazy characters in Tiger King, I think Mario is the tamest out of all the lions or tigers, whichever one you. Now,
okay.
Mario.
So he's like a nice guy? Is he kind of like the guy from Blow?
I mean, how nice could he be? He helped some guy, like, chainsaw some guy to, like, cut his body up and shit. He was there as a witness. He says he wasn't involved, but he witnessed it because they needed to get rid of the informant. Now, again, he was playing this. He was playing in a sport of outlaws, and that was this cocaine cowboy field of. You know,
80, early 80s.
This is
Miami.
From 80 to 89, he got arrested, okay? So basically, his front was an animal emporium where he would import, export animals, exotic animals to people in Miami. That was the front business for his cocaine operation.
And he opened it as a front business.
Right. You know, a lot of people, he was a Cuban immigrant. A lot of people were making money off cocaine. He enjoyed exotic animals. He knew he needed a big job to facilitate enough money to basically fund his habit of these exotic animals.
So he had an exotic animal habit.
Yeah.
And he had to fund it with cocaine.
With the selling of cocaine.
How about that shit? Usually it's like the other way around.
It's entertaining.
Like, I got this fucking crazy ass coke habit, and I got to fucking figure out how to maintain it. Maybe I should. Ooh, exotic animals. That's a market, especially here in Miami.
In Miami. And you can get away with shit like that.
That's amazing. I think that's amazing in the way that that's very interesting how it's opposite like that. That he actually funded his exotic animal habit with.
I think what's more amazing, the motherfucker is still alive
today.
The motherfucker only served like 12 years.
Nice.
And he still owns a small zoo with all these animals. So he, you know, I'm sure there's some losses there.
What zoo?
He owns like a small private zoo in Miami, Homestead area, where you can go based on like you have to make like a private reservation and stuff because it's a private zoo. But he's got tigers, monkeys, whole lot of shit down there.
You think he'll talk about his days in the?
He has.
Oh, yeah?
That's why you have to watch the Tiger King documentary. That's how interesting it is. It's interesting. You're gonna hate me and thank me later.
I walked right into that one. I walked right into that one.
So, not only was Mario a dealer of exotic animals and a dealer of exotic cocaine, he was also involved in some crazy ass crimes. His first wife got murdered in a drive-by shooting. He got tried for that murder because they thought he had something to do with it and was later acquitted. People don't know fully if he was involved or wasn't involved. Fast forward now, he has a new beautiful wife. They get along great. They're more of like animal conservationists, you know, and rescuers. So that's where they're like, rebranding came about. He went from cocaine cowboy to reform, prisoner to now. You basically are an advocate for wild animals.
Well, how are you an advocate for wild animals, but you got a zoo?
Well, what happened was a lot back then.
How does that work?
In the late 70s and 80s, you were basically allowed to have a lot of these wild animals. And according to the Tiger King documentary, there's more wild lions, tigers, and ligers in captivity.
Oh, bears of mine.
I would surprise maybe even bears, but I know according to the documentary, there's about 5,000 animals, tigers, lions, and ligers in captivity, and that's
in the United
more.
States?
No, I think period in captivity. That's more than there are in the wild.
And aren't they all in Texas or something like that?
Majority, I think, are.
I think the majority.
There's
are in
some
Texas.
in Florida. It's
but
not that
the
hard.
vast majority are like in Texas, right?
Well, we learned, and I want you to watch the tiger documentary.
I was watching something. Where did I don't know. Go ahead.
Well, not only was there crazy shit going on with keeping these exotic animals, there's a lady, Carol Baskins, that everybody wants.
Right. That's the other part of the meme I'm always seeing.
That's the lady that supposedly killed her husband. That's going to be a whole other episode we need to do. She's from Tampa.
Oh, shit.
Okay, supposedly her husband disappeared. They were also conservationists, right? They would take in baby cats, and basically the whole thing back then was, do you want to pet? Remember, like when you started seeing like the dolphin aquariums where you can like swim with the dolphins and stuff. Where at the same time, it was cool to like play with the cubs, the little kittens. So there were several breeders, about 4 or 5 of them nationwide in the United States. Joe Exotic is one of them. Carol, Mario, and then this other guy, Don, I think is Dr. Don or something. They were all breeding these cats so that they could have in their private zoos a petting sanctuary. So you would come in and be able to play with the cat for, I don't know what they charge. Everybody charges different. But they were over breeding these cats to produce, because you can only pet the cub for a certain amount of time before it becomes like a fucking lion and then it'll eat you and shit.
So you talking about like years or whatever?
Right. So that they're in the documentary, they're saying this is what pushed a lot of the breeders to overbreed their cats, so they would constantly have a supplies of kittens and cubs. Right. Later on, they started the same people, because like Carol started hating Joe and everybody started hating. Mostly Carol hated the other people. She started making it look like, oh, these people are overbreeding these animals, and we should stop breeding the animals. Whatever's left in captivity, we'll keep, because we obviously can't let them back in the wild. So we'll keep until they die off, and then we should get rid of these practices. Nobody should be allowed to have these big cats in their house. You know what I mean? So the same people that started this industry 20 years later became the advocates of eliminating the industry. And that's what I'm saying about the way Mario has reinvented himself after the cocaine cowboy days, after he got let out of jail.
Because he grew up?
I guess you can say that. I think he's still addicted to animals. I think he still wants to be part. I think there's a high that these guys get. Now, Joe Exotic,
so crazy.
Well, they're saying a lot of people that it attracts like women because like they want to play with the cubs and stuff, and this makes the guys look like cool guys. So they attract. Each one of them has like a harem. Except for Mario. Mario has only one wife. Carol,
in the Joe,
he's gay.
Guy, he's gay, right?
So he has a harem of men.
Okay.
In his little thing, but they all basically have attracted.
He's gone now, though.
He's in jail.
I thought like he died.
No,
I thought Carol Baskin was married to him or something.
That's all you got to watch the documentary.
I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah. I thought that was okay.
No, Carol basically started her own sanctuary. Joe did the same thing. Don did the same thing, and so did Mario.
Okay.
Carol started attacking all the other ones to try to prove that she's better. And she should get all the cats and take care of them until they die. And they've had a constant war.
And they're all over the United States.
Mario's in Miami. Carol's in Tampa. At the time, Joe, before he had to basically relinquish his zoo, was in, I think, Oklahoma. And then, or maybe in Kentucky. One of those two. And then Don's in, like, South or North Carolina.
Okay.
Don seems to have the most professional sanctuary. He seems to take better care of the cats.
Okay.
There seems to be more of a commercialization going on there. It looks like a more professional job. In hindsight, me looking at the documentary and what I've read online, Carol seems to have like an overgrown place that she's only runs with a whole bunch of interns. So she doesn't seem to have a lot of money left over. Mario, it kind of falls in between both of them. And the craziest one out of all of them was Joe Exotic, because he had them in like his crazy ass farm where he was like acting kind of like Mike Busey, like firing guns and just being like debaucherous.
Hey man, I follow Mike Busey. It's good times on his Instagram.
So Joe Exotic is Mike Busey, is homosexual Mike Busey with tigers.
Whoa! Little sprinkle on top.
That's who Joe Exotic is.
A little extra love on top there.
So what we're gonna learn is that
Joe Exotica.
This guy.
I'm still not watching a documentary.
You're gonna watch the documentary.
Man.
You're gonna watch
it a documentary or a series?
It's a 7-part docu.
7 parts
docu-series, and you're gonna love
it.
It's so good.
7. How long are the parts?
So
how long
good.
are the parts?
Like an hour each.
You know what I'm not doing is watching 7 hours. That's a job.
It's
a full-time job.
To watch it,
How much am I getting paid?
You're gonna hate yourself and love it at the same time.
We'll see.
It
7
was well
parts.
put together. It was
Hey
well
man,
put together.
we never know. I might, get super bored one night and want to start watching that. But we'll see.
It was worth it. I have turned off a lot of crap TV,
Yeah.
but man, it's like
Something about it.
like a double Big
They
Mac with
edited
cheese.
it together well.
It's like it's shitty for you, but it tastes so good.
My man shouldn't eat that shit.
Yeah, but it still tastes good. We're not arguing you shouldn't eat it. We're
That's
arguing
true.
that it
That's
tastes
true.
good.
I hear you. It's
see what I'm
delicious.
saying?
I can't argue that.
That's what I was trying to say. Like, is it our fault that people like this exist? They took the chances. They made the decision. They created themselves. But the way society is structured and the way that we promote and pedestalize
Not a word.
characters like this, right? It makes you want to become.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it
You
does.
see how I'm sitting over here talking about how that shit is stupid? And how some people are talking about how it makes you want to do that? Those people, that's natural selection.
What do you mean natural selection?
As far as like, that's how
Those people are supposed to exist, that they were going to be.
if you
that shit
want
was
to
gonna happen anyway.
If you want to go and get a bunch of cats and do a bunch of drugs and shoot off a bunch of guns, then that's the path your life's going to take, bro.
But why are we entertained by that? Why is that?
Because it's entertaining. I don't know how to break it down other than that's a spectacle. It's literally a spectacle.
And we're all hypocrites.
Of what?
We're all cynical hypocrites.
Of being entertained?
In this world, yeah.
Again, not everybody's watching it.
No, but the majority
segment that
of
are...
it.
I don't think so. I don't think Netflix has...
Tiger King took over. Maybe because we were all in
At
quarantine.
its highest, okay, even in quarantine, at its highest, whatever, how much do you think there... I don't know what the number is. But
It's not even about number.
it
It's
300
cultural impact.
Of what? Culture of what?
The way that story took over because of the debauchery.
Yeah, okay, it got into the news cycle because the small majority, and again, we're talking about of people in the United States.
I don't think it's a small majority.
I think it is. It's not 300 million.
I like
330 million.
You always like put a
Because you put importance on
no.
CNN.
What I'm saying is that like you think that you're the norm and you're not.
No, I'm not talking about me at all. I have nothing to do with this. I'm talking about like if you're saying that it's influence in the culture, right? It's it influence of whatever culture we're talking about. We're talking about pop culture right now, right?
I mean,
Whatever.
headlines,
Pop
like
headlines.
trending.
Okay,
You know?
at its height, I would say 3 million people, right?
Well, you can't throw a number at it. The point is, it's like
Yeah, you can't.
Tekashi.
You literally can.
You can throw a number at it, absolutely.
Okay.
But I'm not talking about the numbers. I'm just talking about the cultural impact because numbers happen all the time. Trending things happen all the time.
All right, so
But something that's like that Joe Exotic, Tiger King shit, even though you haven't
Okay.
seen it, you kind of understand it
No,
because of the way we're absorbing it and we're
Right.
making it
Okay.
popular culture.
no,
you know?
I got you, but
Tekashi 6ix9ine.
I guess why that doesn't matter to me as much is because that is fleeting. It goes away really quick.
But you're not the norm.
No,
I wish
that is not-
more people were like
no,
you.
No. It's fleeting in general. It goes away. It's like cotton candy. Most pop culture shit goes away inside of 7 months.
We're gonna not forget Joe Exotic. I promise you.
I mean, we can't forget it, but it's not always going to be
Have
around.
you forgot Al Bundy?
Octomom?
Have you forgot Al Bundy?
Huh?
Have you forgot Al Bundy?
What about Al Bundy? It was a syndicated show that was on for 9 seasons or 8 seasons.
Homer Simpson?
That shit was on for 25 seasons.
I mean, I can go across the board.
Okay,
Every now and then we get a Will Smith,
right?
but we love Homer Simpson
Yeah, for sure.
as a society.
Right.
Tony Montana.
Do people model their life after Homer Simpson?
Small bits.
Okay.
Good bits.
You
You might want to be.
The good bits.
Okay. I'll agree with that.
Okay.
But we as a society have faults
Yeah, for sure.
for making these people or those archetypes popular. It takes a stupid one to become that. You know, it takes the more ignorant person,
But
the person
okay,
that's not as
the thing about-
open-minded as you. The reason why you're not Joe
Society
Exotic,
is not pop culture, though.
but the reason why you're not Joe Exotic is because you've put a break on shit.
Society is not pop culture, though.
What do you mean society?
Society is not pop culture. Pop culture is a small segment of society. We're talking about literal. That's why I bring up 330 million people, and I'm just talking about in America.
But whatever is popular at any given time
Is pop culture. Is not society.
It is.
Pop culture is not society.
It's the majority of society.
No, it's not. Again, it's a small segment of it.
Everybody knows about Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Everybody on the internet looking at pop culture does. And again, at its height, I bet it's like 3 million, 4 million, might be even 14 million.
You can
people
talk
watching
to a
it.
69-year-old lady or a 6 and 9-year-old child, and they might not know the whole story.
If you talk to every person,
Majority.
if you talk to 300 and I think it's, 30, 40, 50 million people in the United States.
Yeah.
And you ask everyone about Joe Exotica, I would say 10% know about Joe Exotica. Because how much is 10% of 300 million?
No.
Just 300 million.
I would say about 75% of the people in the United States.
You're saying
know
over
about
200 million people
Yeah.
know about. No
So,
way.
I've heard, seen him. Oh, I've seen a meme. Maybe not know the full story.
If you look up the most views of something, not views on YouTube, but like a show, like the goddamn Emmys or whatever, or the fucking.
You walk into Cambodia town and say Justin Bieber, they're gonna know who you're talking about.
Where he's a world touring artist.
Pop culture.
Not everybody in the world is Netflix.
No, but it is. Now it is.
No, it isn't.
I'm not talking about the world. I'm talking about nationwide. We were talking about nationwide.
You just brought up Cambodia.
No, Cambodia town.
What's Cambodia town?
Like, it's a sect in America that you would think is disconnected
I thought you were
from
talking
the
about
West
Cambodia.
America. They add to that 300 million because they're a population and a culture within the
No,
American
yeah, I thought
culture.
you were talking about Cambodia.
But they would be, no, I'm saying Cambodia town because in a town like Little Haiti, Cambodia town, like Little Chinatown, this is a place where
In America.
they're in America, but they might get their news different places. They might listen to music different. They might absorb their information differently than pop culture.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you can walk into and find somebody within that culture that knows who the fuck Tekashi 6ix9ine is.
Okay, again, pop culture is not society. So
But what I'm saying in relevance to what people like when that when the OJ Simpson shit happened, that became popular culture. Not a lot of people knew who OJ was, but because of that scenario in the murder case, that perpetuated him to the top. Yes, there's going to be people in the world.
Because we perpetuated or whatever we were saying as far as like putting him in the forefront of popular culture, OJ Simpson, there's people that modeled their life after him.
No, what I'm saying is anything that becomes pop culture, like Joe Exotic, like Tony Montana, like Homer Simpson, like any of these people that come up, some of them might take longer than others, but once they're solidified as pop culture, that is society's fault. We promote and put people on these levels, and we hypocritically say, no, that's not
It's the people who watch Netflix and the people who watch ABC and the people who watch, which is part of society.
It's all of us.
All of us don't.
It's
Part of society, you're right.
But
it's part of society.
You're part of it.
It's not society. It's part of society, yes.
I think it is society.
It's part of, for sure.
It's Ben Franklin.
It's Ben Franklin.
Yeah. It's Ben Franklin.
The money? You talking about money?
Just Ben Franklin, Homer Simpson, Joe Exotic, Tekashi 6ix9ine.
Okay, Ben Franklin was put into popular culture.
He became something that everybody, like, if you come to America and if you live in fucking Colorado, Denver, Colorado, or Cambodia town or Chinatown, you're going to know who Elvis Presley is. You're going to know who Ben Franklin is.
Okay, because they're in pop culture?
Because we have, as society, put that at the top of our culture as something that is extremely popular at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So, Joe Exotic, Billy the Kid, Like it happens all the time where these people, Machine Gun Kelly, Al Capone,
those infamous people,
but they still become popular culture. And even you might not know the whole story, you still have heard, or somebody close to you, the majority of people have heard of those things. And usually 9 times out of 10, it's a crazy story that we vicariously lived through in some way.
So you're saying your fault is that it's popular. That's your fault? Not your fault, but you're saying the fault of society is that it's popular.
Well, it's our fault that people like that end up coming to be existing
popular
anyway, because
you're saying they existing, like even become the person they are, is because we make people like that popular, and that, I guess the
next baby who's born, he gets influenced by those things. He sees certain things.
You can't. Again, that goes back to what I was talking about. It's such a small segment of the population that even looks at that shit.
I don't think so. I think everybody. I think you're right. There's a small segment that like deep dives into it, but when it becomes super popular, everybody at least has an understanding of what that is. Like everybody knows. Tekashi is the rat kid.
Tekashi?
No,
the
but
majority of it and shit. And then on top of that, it's not our fault. They want to be.
Not everybody. You're right. Not everybody wants to be it, but the next one that comes is our fault.
Can't blame society for that.
Of course we can. Because we promote it as we tune into it, we feed the fire.
I don't think
you don't, but the majority of us do.
Again, I'm not perfect, so sure, I bump fucking trap shit sometimes around my kids just because I like the bass line and the hard hitting 808s or whatever. But during that, you have conversations, but it's not about what I'm doing. What I'm talking about is that, sure.
Well, yeah. It's the same thing as Boosie letting his kids get head at 12. You're not going to do that, but you understand why he's doing it, to make his kid.
No, I don't fully. I also don't know why he's smoking blunts right next to his face. But it doesn't. It's not my child, and if the authorities think that's cool, then they're gonna do it. If it's okay, if the authorities think it's okay for me to bump 2 Chainz around my 15-year-old kid, which I think it's okay, then we're all okay doing it, I guess. It's not my job to even judge Boosie. See, I'm saying like the difference in like how you say that says a lot about you, right? Anyway, that was another conversation. But I don't think that we should necessarily use that as a reason to judge anybody about.
No, it's not about judging. It's how we.
No, I said that because I got lost after the Boosie conversation, so I just went to like, you don't got to judge anybody, but I lost where the conversation was.
What I'm saying is that these things become popular,
right?
And we might, like people on your side of it, right? And I'm on that side too. We'll say, well, that's wrong. I don't think I would ever do that, but because we paid attention to it and galvanized it and made it popular, there is going to be somebody that's influenced by it and creates the next.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's what I was saying.
That's where we have.
I don't think that's our fault for looking at it.
We have to have some type of fault like that if we want to.
And I guess that's the other part of what I was going to say is that we are a partly involved in it.
Yes.
If we didn't give it any air like fire, it wouldn't exist.
But if we were to take responsibility for being part in it, then there would be more of a balance. And there wouldn't be so much. There wouldn't be like the Joe Exotic shit wouldn't be so popular.
I don't know. It seems like it's pretty popular
because of the debauchery, because of the Mike Busey-esque of it.
It's a spectacle,
and we're hypocrites.
I don't know why that makes us hypocrites.
Because like the argument we had about Mike Busey, we want to let him be free, but when we really see what freedom looks like, that kind of scares us, and we're
as long as it doesn't
do that over there, but don't be my neighbor.
It's my yard.
Hypocritical.
It's my neighborhood. Like
it's the same thing with Boosie. We create these society norms of like we want you to be a man. We have to make sure that the man is you want your kid to be respected or be cool, right? To fit in.
Again, that's pop culture, which is in society. It is not society. It's pop culture.
But it's who we breed. It's what makes men, women,
Nah,
women.
see,
Yeah.
don't perpetuate that because that's not true. That's what is being made to like people think is true.
We make it that.
No, we don't.
Who makes it that then?
The people who, not we. You keep using we like it's all of us. It's not all of us. You know what I mean?
We're all at fault in some way.
Sure, maybe
you're,
a little
you're
bit.
You're at fault a little bit because you played that 2 Chainz song
for sure
for your son. And if your son,
Right.
I'm not saying this is going to happen, I'm just saying
No,
hypothetically,
yeah.
if your son gets triggered and be like, damn, what is a fork? What do you mean he whipped a
Right.
fork? And then he finds out that's cool because it's drug dealer talk.
Right.
Maybe I want to sell some drugs.
Right. That's why you have a full conversation about what's listening and stuff like that. And not everybody does that. I realize that. That's not what I'm saying, that everybody should or shouldn't do any of that shit. You know what I mean? It's up to you how you want to raise your kid necessarily. You know what I mean? It's just that you can't really blame the music or 2 Chainz or whatever for any of that stuff.
We have to start so that at least the judicial system will start to lay off of, because who's it really affecting? These minority kids, these areas of society that are underprivileged, that don't have the resources, and they galvanize characters like this, and that's why you have more local drug dealers in poor. That's why you have more local drug dealers in poor neighborhoods than you would have in any other neighborhoods. The lack of resources and the galvanization of promoting ignorant shit that we all thrive and feed off of.
Not all. Not we all. No.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's beautiful when you say that because, yes, there are some people. But you're as...
What's the percentage of people in jail in America for anything?
It's a lot.
You think so?
Yeah, we have over 2 million people.
We got a lot of people in jail. What's the percentage?
I don't know the percentage.
It's below 10%
of the
people
full population.
People in America. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So,
what I'm saying is, of course it's disproportionate, but we're not talking about that. We're not talking about that.
We have to talk about that, though.
We always talk about that, and we know that it's true. So that's not even an argument. You know what I mean?
If we want to start taking responsibility for people like that and how they end up in the system.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like when you say there's like we know that is. I'm lost on the argument again. I'm lost in the argument.
Bring in the rescue helicopter.
No, we know. No, because we were talking about the guy from Scarface, and then now we're kind of getting into like more why people are getting arrested.
No, we're talking about how Scarface influences certain sect of people that might not be the majority.
And I keep getting lost. I keep getting lost on the point where you say that all of us are influenced by this stuff, and I'm saying that we're not. And to prove that, there's such a small majority of us all getting arrested for it that it can't all of us being influenced. That's why I brought up that only 10%.
Not everybody is going to be Tony Montana.
Less of us.
Right.
That's why I say you can't blame pop culture.
But you can't blame them when they become Tony Montana if we continue to promote these lifestyles. You can blame
them more than you can pop culture.
Well, that's what
I kept getting lost on, bro. The percentage of everybody in the United States that gets arrested. We're not even talking about the disparate and how disproportionate it is black to white to Native American, all this other stuff. If we're going to say that under 10% of the population is in jail for something or get arrested for something, then we can't say that it's pop culture's fault. Because it's pop culture's fault, according to you, everybody's watching it, then more people would be influenced.
More people are influenced by it.
Would more than 10% would be and getting arrested for it.
No, because not all of them are living to the extreme. The anomalies are, the small percentage. That's why you're absolutely right. That's why there's not more people in jail. But the reason that we're producing people like that, period, is because we galvanize these archetypes in our society. The outlaw, right?
No,
the cocaine dealer, and who does that really affect? Ignorant people.
You produce people like cats like that is because they a lot of times don't have any other options other than to do what they're doing. It's not because they heard Gucci Mane do it. It's because, you know, they needed the money or they wanted the power or
Gucci Mane has some influence in there.
Nah, maybe he's playing the soundtrack in the background, but they're not doing it because Gucci Mane says to do it.
People wouldn't be drinking lean if they didn't see rappers drinking lean.
Nah, they would. Once they found out about lean, they would drink lean. They would drink Henny. And you think lean came from a rapper? No.
No, but the popularization.
No, it was around.
Again, going back to the Justin Bieber.
People
the reason why they outlawed activists was because lean got so popular that the popular boy of pop culture,
the white boy,
started drinking it. Now it's time to cut it off. That's the fucked up, and that's the hypocrisy that we
had to
live
be
in.
doing with him being a white pop star.
But if it's reaching that mainstream level, it becomes an issue.
No, it became an issue because it was Justin Bieber or Britney Spears.
Yes, we're saying the same thing.
Or Taylor Swift. But I'm saying, even in that, the majority of people in the United States aren't affected by that, aren't even like worried about that.
I would argue to say they are affected by it, and we don't care until it reaches a mainstream level. And that's the hypocriticalness of it. Because we didn't care when half of Houston was getting drugged out about it.
No,
or when
Chief
Keef and all those kids in Chirac are killing each other drinking lean and stuff like that.
No, not
we
at all.
didn't care. But when Justin started doing it, now we care. And that's the only thing I'm arguing.
Right.
That's hypocritical.
Right. But we can't blame, I don't think, society for fully, I guess entirely. I guess there's a percentage there that we have to work out.
If we stand all together holding hands and say we're all capable, I might have a little more will than you do.
That's never like happening, right?
But if we do, then we would get rid of a lot of this shit. And the Joe's Exotics wouldn't exist. They wouldn't be popular. Things like that wouldn't.
I think it always would be, man. It's just fun to watch. You know, not for me personally at this moment in my life, maybe in a month, maybe whatever. It always makes me sound like an asshole, but it's just not something that right now. But again, I watch all sorts of trash right now. What did I watch this morning? I think I watched The Bodyguard this morning or yesterday morning for like the 100th time. It's not a good movie. There's so many holes in that movie. But
I held that note though.
I just watch the shit out of stuff like that. I don't really fuck with the Joe Exotica thing. It's just weird to me.
Yeah.
Like it didn't seem
it's
like
definitely weird. What's weirder is that like there's new, like the Cardi B's or like there's new heroes that are constantly being created, archetype heroes now. Like, oh, the powerful stripper bitch, you know what I mean? Stripper turned rapper turned millionaire. Now that's a new lane that's going to galvanize a whole bunch of girls to be like, oh, I can be ratchet and turned up and now respected. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But again, I hear that, right? I hear when you say that, but I don't think it's so powerful that it's like insane. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, it all depends on where you want to stand on the spectrum, but it is affecting people. It is turning.
I think so.
Girls,
I think, like I said, there's a percentage of that I would be comfortable with, and you would be comfortable with, of society's fault and pop culture fault, so vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just want all of us to at least know that in some ways, even if it's incremental, we're adding to it.
Yes.
You're part of it. Because guess what? You're part of society.
Yes.
You showed up to the game. You don't live in some indigenous fucking forest.
No, yeah.
And, you're
Absolutely.
reading books. You're talking to kids. You're talking to other people. I'm talking to my girlfriend. I'm talking to
yeah, man.
the
And
neighbor.
I'm wrong a lot. You know what I mean? That's the
all
thing,
are.
too. It's like I find myself being wrong a lot where I got to, like, back off.
And what's wrong with being wrong?
Nothing. But a lot of times people try to make you feel bad about it for, like, I don't know for what reason, but they'll fucking like I don't care.
Racism.
I don't care. I don't care about like likes or comments or anything like that. That's not why I use my social media. But you notice people won't engage in your social media unless it's to tell you you're wrong.
Right.
Or well, that too. I'll get more engagement if I do something like post a kitten or jump off a bridge or
My
something.
little brother posts 6ix9ine's his favorite rapper. Here comes the
Right.
fucking army.
But they will they won't like your, comment about, I don't know, injustice in
Right.
the Sri Lanka or some shit like that, right? There'll no crickets or a picture of your new haircut or whatever, right? But if it's to tell you you're wrong about something, these particular people will come out and tell you you're wrong. And that's across all social media. For like, if Will Smith posts a picture of, him next to a pyramid, it's like, oh, nice picture, blah, blah, but it'll get like this amount of engagement. But if you post a new rap song, it's like, he's trash, and blah, blah, blah.
And even the people that engage is a small percentage of people too. And we think that's the outlier.
It's not a lot of people when you look at it.
Yeah.
That's why, the influence that it has, a lot of it has to do with just you talking to your kid in the first place. When the parent stuff, when I'm bumping 2 Chainz and shit like that, which doesn't have, it's more Kid Cudi now, but even Kid Cudi has like, his adult content or whatever. But you got to just break it down. You know what this means? You know what they're saying? This is what's happening. You ever think about this way? And I present them with options, but everybody does it.
No, that's the well-rounded way of approaching it.
Not everybody does it.
Not everybody does that shit.
Sometimes it is Justin Bieber's job to raise a person, but I don't think it's in the tens of millions. Yeah, I don't think he influences tens of millions of people. I don't.
You don't think so?
Mm-mm. Not influences. He might get tens of millions of plays. He's not selling tens of millions of records.
Well, it's streaming, people listening.
That's a spin, bro. That's not influence. I think 6ix9ine proved that as far as streams go. And having influence over people.
I think he has influence over people.
I don't think he does. Some people, sure, but not like the vast majority, and definitely not 60 million people, which is the spin he gets on some of his records.
I don't know what the number is, but I think he does definitely influence a lot of young kids.
See, that's the thing. A lot is true, but in comparison to what? All of them? No. I think a low percentage of children are influenced by 6ix9ine. So when we say stuff like, he's influencing our kids, sure, some of them, the ones who are getting not talked to and not dealt with like they need to be, and that's fucking terrible. And we hopefully they get through the time when they think 6ix9ine is something to look up to, but it's not. I don't think it's over 10%, honestly.
Yeah, of
children out there, I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't. There's definitely there's a separation, especially in hip hop, for being this whole like street. I remember when Cameron was like, "No, I will move if my neighbor is a serial killer. I won't rat on him." That level of hip hop to now, we're like, "Oh yeah, he did get his girlfriend fucked, and they did try to steal some money, so it's okay for him to rat." Same thing happened in like Italian mob culture. You would never think of somebody like Sammy the Bull, a hitman that killed people, would be on the stand, ratting out his boss. He's a killer himself, and got away with it. Got time.
It's just the perception that people think. I think every rational person that gets faced with those kind of like choices that they got to make will make that choice.
Is snitching okay?
Yeah, obviously. I mean, self-preservation is key, right?
Yeah.
See, I can say that as a person who doesn't commit crimes, though.
Right?
Like, that's no problem. I can just say that out loud because I don't live by some sort of like moral code that allows me to do crime against somebody and then catch feelings when somebody does a crime against me.
I've always been the criminal whenever I used to do my thing. I remember, like, maybe back in the day when I used to deal more weed or whatever, I would always not abide by those rules. But then again, I wasn't indoctrinated with, like, the mafioso way. If some motherfucker that I knew and I could get out of my time from it, I probably would have snitched on him.
I don't understand how that's, like, so... Like, I understand how the 6ix9ine thing can be seen as whatever, because he was pulling up people that didn't have anything to do with anything, apparently. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, like, if I'm committing crimes and with this person, and then I telling this person so that I don't go to jail, that seems like something a criminal would do, no?
It's smart.
like, I don't understand how people look at it. It seems like you're a good criminal when you do that.
Right.
I say this at a person who doesn't commit
It's
crimes.
because criminals still want to believe hypocritically that there's some type of ethics and morals to what they do.
Which is odd to me. Like, all of that other stuff is that, but then this one is still like there's a morality in it.
Right.
Nah, bro, like you're killing people or whatever.
The only thing that I would kind of,
I mean, I'm sure there's levels to it.
well,
there's like a gray area.
Well,
in there.
you gotta. The only thing that makes it like really fucked up is that in jail they really go by those rules, and if you're like a child molester or a snitch or an ex-cop, pretty much fucked.
I think context is everything, right? What was the situation around me snitching? And was I snitching?
And are you going to be like, yeah, I snitched, and what? Or are you going to be like, yeah, I snitched? Like, how are you coming across it? That's a whole other level.
That's a whole other thing you got to think about when
you know, like the owl pose. Have you ever remember the Paid in Full movie?
I remember the first one.
Well, the Paid in Full, there's only one. There's two.
I thought there was a second one. That's the one with Camp.
It's the one with Cameron. I think you're thinking about State Property.
Oh, right. Yeah, they had to. Yeah.
So the whole Alpo, the whole Paid in Full was this guy Alpo from Harlem was a drug dealer and his crew, and then he ended up ratting out some people in a whole other hood. He wouldn't rat out anybody from Harlem.
Yeah,
he ratted out people from Maryland. So when he got out of jail, he's kind of respected in Harlem, but he still ratted people out.
Yeah, what's his name from American Gangster?
Yep, that's in the Frank
Lucas.
How did
that movie end?
That's another.
And he's fucking like praised for being this smart, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
I know there's people that didn't, right? And they're still sitting in jail.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's funny, man. There's definitely like a gray area with that. I think
if me and my uncle went and stole a car, I wouldn't tell him my uncle.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Me and you did some dirt and it got in. If we could get our stories like hooked up, I'm not going to like stray from the story.
What about you're at the house, girlfriend's friend comes over, they get into an argument, your girlfriend pushes her, knocks her head and kills her. Do you help cover up the crime?
I think I got to go with what she wants to do in that, and I would steer her toward like calling the cops and doing an accident. But I think I would have to like.
Would you help a little bit?
I think I would steer her toward what she needed to do and try to stay out of it. I try as much plausible deniability as possible. That's hard
because you love this person.
Well, because I also got to be here for the kids too. Like, how can we do this thing that you're trying to do that but what you should be doing is this. But if we're gonna do this, then let's figure out how to keep me out here while you're inside. So lift with your feet. No, I don't know, man. I don't know.
It's a hard one. Or your kid catches a body and you need to help cover it up.
The thing I immediately think about is the kids. If there were no kids, it's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
You know, but I immediately think about there's somebody got to be here for the kid. My kid, your kids. You know what I mean? You're going to be in jail, but they're still going to want to like interact, all this stuff. And I'm going to have to I will be a part of that, you know, especially since in this instance, you didn't like mean to kill this person.
Right.
So again, there's levels like we were talking about. So is snitching wrong? Probably not.
Yeah.
I think more times than not, I don't think you're doing anything wrong because you're a criminal.
And you're trying to get the best outcome.
You're robbing people, you're beating up people, you're extorting people. You know what I mean? You're stealing from people. You can butter it up however you want to. Nah, only rob drug dealers. Okay, you robbed a drug dealer. He's that's still not your shit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, street vendage and justice it's still, it's form of justice in its own way. It's like, what side do you want?
Yo, a good friend of mine told me recently, you can argue anything from every side. And you can say that I was a criminal and I only robbed fucking criminals and make that seem like a good thing. And you can make movies about, Bonnie and Clyde all you want, you know what I mean? They still fucking shot up a bunch of cops.
Yeah.
And kill people.
There's an art in arguing, in debate. Yeah. That's what people go to be on debate teams for.
Yeah, you remember Maven?
Yeah.
You remember Maven, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, she did debate through her school.
Yeah. There's a whole art form to that, in the conversation and switching people's perception on things.
Yeah, and then they gotta switch arguments. Those must suck, man. Those exercises where you gotta argue the point you don't even agree with.
Just for argument's sake.
That's the thing, man.
Yeah. Well, that was 59 minutes of criminal influence and society's effect.
And that wasn't even about Mario to Broadway.
Well, it was
to Broadway.
I believe that people like Mario to Broadway are
Broadway or Broadway.
Kimberly, give us the facts.
She's like, no, y'all been talking too goddamn much.
I mean, it's all about what society produces.
Okay, KK, we're back. Podcast Niglets.
No!
I hope you missed me. Goddamn you guys.
Kimberly.
I mean, the human race almost really killed off everyone in this bitch. Almost wiped out all you fuckers with a bat and a cough. Rona and that 5G got y'all looking weak. The only thing more entertaining than Rona was Joe Exotic and his tigers. Well, since this podcast is about Florida, it's only right we talk about the Scarface of ZooLife, Mario Tabrao.
Scarface of ZooLife.
Bustle.com. The new Netflix documentary series Tiger King has completely taken over pop culture since its release on March 20th. With movie theaters closed, TV productions shut down, and live sports cancelled due to the coronavirus pandemic, streaming is experiencing an even bigger boom than usual. And the true crime series about eccentric zoo owner Joe Exotic has been just what the doctor ordered to fight the quarantine-induced cabin ever. But Exotic is hardly the only seedy character featured in Tiger King. There's also zoo owner / drug emperor Mario Tabrao, who might be even more outlandish than Exotic. So where is Mario Tabrao now? Unlike Exotic, Tabrao is not currently incarcerated, though some might argue that he should be. In 1987, Tabrao was arrested on racketeering and narcotics charges. He is alleged to have been a kingpin of a $75 million illegal drug operation in South Florida, and testimony during his 1989 trial even accused Tabrao of using a machete in an attempt to dismember the body of a federal informant who had been murdered by some of his men. At the conclusion of the 4-month trial, Tabrao was ultimately sentenced to 100 years behind bars. You don't have to be a math whiz to determine that a century has not yet passed since 1989, as the year is only 2020. So why is Tabrao out of prison already? Tabrao was released from prison in 2000 after serving just a dozen years behind bars. He received such a staggeringly early release thanks to his acting as an informant for federal authorities, helping implicate murderers, money launderers, and drug traffickers, according to the South Florida Sun-Sentinel. In the 2 decades since his release, Tabrao has focused on running his Miami Zoo, the Zoological Wildlife Foundation. The zoo's website lists the former drug kingpin as its president and director, while his wife Maria Tabrao is labeled its co-president and director. The couple opened the center in 2001, shortly after Tabrao's release from prison. For someone who served such a high-profile and serious prison sentence, Tabrao hasn't exactly kept a low profile in recent years. In 2014, the zoo owner made headlines for his lobbying efforts in Washington, D.C. A proposal at the time called the Big Cats in Public Safety Protection Act was introduced by California Republican Buck McKeon, who was inspired by a tragic 2011 event in which 48 exotic animals were killed by law enforcement after they were released by their owner in Zanesville, O. The act would have made it more difficult for people to obtain exotic animals and would seek to regulate and provide oversight to the industry. Tabrao greatly opposed the legislation, and paid a D.C. lobbyist to fight it. The bill did not advance, but updated versions of the bill were introduced in both the House and Senate in 2019 by Illinois Democrat Mike Quigley in the House and Connecticut Democrat Richard Blumenthal in the Senate, respectively. While he may have left his more nefarious dealings in his past, Tabrao remains a controversial figure due to his ongoing work in the exotic animal trade. Miami, AP, federal agents have broken a ruthless pot smuggling ring that killed an informant and cut up his body, bribed Miami and Key West police and trafficked 500,000 pounds of marijuana, authorities said Wednesday. At one time, the indictment said, the ring used Miami police officers to collect, count and disperse drug profits. 6 of 7 people indicted in the case were arrested by a multi-agency federal task force Wednesday. The 7th was in custody in another state. The ring operated for at least 10 years, smuggling $79 million worth of pot and some cocaine into Louisiana and Florida, said Richard Gregory, chief assistant U.S. attorney here. The smugglers used violence and bribed officers to protect their operation, Gregory said. Mario Tabrao and his father, Guillermo, headed a group which authorities said had been perused by 4 police agencies during the decade. The son faces a maximum penalty of life imprisonment plus 205 years if convicted on all counts, while his father faces 40 years on the indictment. Both also face confiscation of their property, including Mario Tabrau's Miami jewelry store, which was allegedly used as a front to distribute the marijuana. The case was called Operation Cobra, because the younger Tabrau ran an exotic pet store and ranch, where he kept a giraffe, a cheetah and rare birds. When the men were arrested at their Dade County homes early Wednesday, Mario Tabrau's wife allegedly tossed a bundle of $50,000 in cash out the back window, said Lloyd E. Dean, assistant special agent in charge of the Miami FBI office. The money was caught by a federal agent, Dean said. Agents confiscated 3 machine guns, a MAC-10, a MAC-11 and an Uzi, said James Brown, special agent in charge of the ATF in Miami. In July 1980, members of the group apparently became aware that Larry Nash was an informant for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco and Firearms. They allegedly took him for a ride in Mario Tabrau's car and shot him twice with a .380 Beretta. Mr. Nash was murdered and mutilated, said Dean. His body was cut up with a chainsaw and then burned. The ring paid bribes totaling $150,000 to former Key West Deputy Police Chief Lieutenant Raymond Casamayor and other Monroe County officials, the indictment said. Casamayor is serving a 30-year prison sentence in a separate case. The indictment also charges that from the fall of 1977 until at least the end of 1979 Mario Tabrau had Miami police officers collecting, counting and dispersing large amounts of cash made from the ring. No Miami officers are charged or named in the indictment. But the investigation is still continuing, said Gregory. Beyond that I can't discuss it. One 15-count indictment charges the Tabraus and Francisco Quintana, allegedly his main supplier, with conspiracy to possess and distribute marijuana and cocaine, possession of drugs with intent to distribute them, and racketeering. All 3 men were ordered held without bond Wednesday. Their operation brought 500,000 pounds of marijuana and 95 kilograms of cocaine through Louisiana, the Florida Panhandle, the Naples area, the Keys and Dade County, the indictment charges. In 2 separate but related indictments, a federal grand jury charged Orlando Chichalaya, Randy Chatfield, Philip Epstein and Raymond Van Nostrand with racketeering in connection with the Tabrau operation. Chatfield was already in custody in another state in an unrelated case.
Yeah.
Mario Tabrau and his father Guillermo are accused of operating a 10-year top-dollar family drug enterprise.
The money coming in suitcases to the bank, I did that. But not with a fat guy in the band. It was a Corvette. I did it by myself. I would call the bank, and the banks, they would have 10 tellers who sit back there and count it. There was no counting machines. Back then, I sold drugs to maintain my animal habit. I got to a point where I was on the phone saying, Mario's drugstore specializing in marijuana, cocaine, and quaaludes. Anybody interested, come get it, including you, Metro-Dade, Organized Crime Bureau. They got me on tape.
Working out of Zoological Imports Unlimited, Tabrau is also accused of covering up the murder, mutilation, and cremation of a federal drug informant 7 years ago.
His name was Larry Nash. He was an ATF informant. A guy who worked for me shot him, and they panicked and dumped him on my farm. I had a crazier partner than me. He says, let's just cut up and burn them. So we burned them. You know, I really didn't even do most of the stuff, but I carry the stigma of it. What am I going to tell the feds now, or the judge? Your Honor, I did not shoot him, and I did not use the circular saw in his neck. It was somebody else. What difference does it make? I'm still there. Come here, come here, come here. Hello. The judge gave me 100 years, but I won the appeal. It cost me 12 years of my life. It's okay. It's okay. Down, down.
Animals don't judge you. As long as you're really good at heart, they don't care who you are or what you've done in your past. Mario's always treated me with respect, and, everybody's got a past.
Everybody's got a past, Thompson.
Nah, bro.
And you don't judge a man with lions.
I don't have anything to say really much about what he did as far as cocaine and all that stuff. All I know is my ass would not have been a cameraman in that motherfucker just now. Can you imagine?
Cameraman.
Can you imagine?
I got the Mario's like, I got this. No, it's okay.
Nah, bro.
Nah, it's okay.
I'll bet you from this side. That's crazy how close they were to those lions and tiger.
Wait till you see the documentary.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
They're like up close and personal.
Nah, man, it's too much for me. That's too much for me.
I mean, once you build, it's like any habitat. Once you build, once you've been working that environment for so long, you start to build certain. I don't want to call it being comfortable, but you're more adapt. You're part of the surroundings, so you're better equipped with dealing with a big ass cat, or go down to like Gatorland and see these people play with the gators and stuff. And
No, I know. I've seen it. Also not for me.
well, yeah, but it's possible,
It is. And probably they're more docile than a wild alligator.
especially if you raised it since it was a cub.
Yeah.
I
Because
mean,
babies, they're babies.
yeah,
They exhibit some of the same.
it's crazy. You automatically, if you're gonna deal cocaine and like be a drug dealer and be an outlaw, you got to be crazy. But then to have all those exotic animals on top of that, you're just dealing with another breed of human. You know, to have the balls and the feeling to be around. You know what I mean? And this guy had to be good with all types of animals, including humans. I mean, he had the cops on his payroll. I mean, he was just a whisperer of all types of species.
Definitely different. I don't know.
If you can control tigers and monkeys, you can control some cops.
I don't know about that either, because apparently he went to jail. So,
He went to jail because his homie shot an informant.
right. So you couldn't control those people.
Well, he said his homie was crazier than he was.
Control them.
It was that crazy. It's like you think, you think Leo the lion is crazy? You should be my buddy over here,
hell
Cheeky.
nah.
Cheeky will fucking eat your face.
I can't believe he put that on him like that, though. What a bad friend. Don't just go shooting people. You gotta give me a heads up so I can get out of here. You about to shoot somebody? All right, I'm out. I'll see you later.
He's like, we'll just circular saw him, but burn him alive.
You are insane. I've been in situations not quite like that, but close to that, where I'm not close to that either, but where you're just like, what? Come on. Like my boy shot some guns up in the air outside or inside his apartment complex when he was arguing with his girl, and then he couldn't go because his fucking car ran out of gas. So I had to like take him out of there. And it's like pissed off because now I got like, I think he put the gun under my seat, and then like I drove him to wherever, and then he fucking took the gun out and did whatever with it. And he didn't shoot nobody, but it's like, yo, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like now I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Could be.
Yeah.
Because I got to either leave your ass here to get put in jail or put you in my car.
The crazy thing is, this guy is the more normal out of most of the other dudes.
Right?
That's how crazy the environment, not only within like the zoologist community, but the drug dealer community. You're dealing with a lot of crazy motherfuckers, bro. A lot of ego, a lot of that pure cocaine, that pure 1980s
They got
cocaine.
that in their veins.
Oh man, shooting that shit up.
Yeah.
You gotta gain a whole other level of balls.
You watch Narcos?
Yeah.
The Mexican one?
Kind of fell off after the Colombian one.
The Mexican one's good. It's about weed.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah,
It's
and
got-
like El Chapo, a little bit of El Chapo.
He's in there. He's part of the
Yeah.
thing, but it's not like mainly about him or anything.
Right. It's all the cartels.
Yeah, it's all of them. But there's a couple characters in there. Once they introduce Coke, man, they start going off.
You ever seen Better Call Saul?
No. Again, I fell off after Breaking Bad.
Oh man, Better Call Saul is so good. I liked it better than Breaking Bad. And it's like when Tuco does the
Wait, you
meth.
saw Breaking Bad?
I saw actually Better Call Saul first, and then I watched Breaking Bad because I watched a couple episodes of Breaking Bad, and I was like, eh. And then Ashley's like, no, you really got to
You
watch
watched
it.
all the seasons of Breaking Bad?
Yeah,
You
Well-
thought Better Call Saul was better?
I thought Better Call Saul was
I
better.
might have to watch it. I've never watched it.
Breaking Bad is like, it's the mothership. It's the first series and stuff. So there's a lot of great stuff that I don't want to discount. But I like the dialogue, the writing, the way the characters interacted with each other. Like, Breaking Bad was such a Walter White driven show. You had exterior characters that were cool and shit. But to see where Saul is Jimmy now, before he became Better Call Saul, and his wittiness, his like, you think I argue the shit out of shit? This guy argues the shit out of shit. And it's just, the methods that he used and the situations he put himself in, very self-destructive on a other level than Breaking Bad. Both good shows. I enjoy Better Call Saul more. Again, writing wise, just
Because
situation.
I watched the first episode and I didn't really like it, so I don't know. I gotta go back into it.
And if you really like Breaking Bad, it's gonna give you a lot of backstory to other shit. Like you see that in Breaking Bad, you see them working in that underground facility, like the meth ultra lab.
When they got kidnapped or whatever.
Right, when he started working for Gus, they had that underground facility. In Better Call Saul, they actually show you how the facility came about.
Oh, cool.
And they give you a lot of background to, like, Mike, like the right-hand dude that's always cleaning shit up. They give his character way more depth in Better Call Saul. You get to see who Mike really is, why he becomes so cold-blooded, why he becomes so methodical.
Yeah, I might give it more. We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see.
It was good. I definitely watched that Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
Definitely watch Tiger King. You know what I mean?
We'll see.
And,
We'll see.
What I want to touch on is another part of this that, even though this guy's life was crazy, and we've talked about a lot of drug dealers and shit, there was a scene in Miami of drug dealers, obviously, but they would hang out in certain places. There's this hotel called the Mutiny, and this is where a lot of the dudes would come meet and, like, basically rent a room and do their business and, trade cash for suitcases of drugs and shit like that. And Oliver Stone, Brian De Palma, director and writer of Scarface, they were in the Mutiny. Like, they showed up to Miami and surrounded themselves by these underworld characters, even to the point where a lot of them would laugh off Oliver Stone and be like, I'm not going to be part of your movie. What are you, crazy? Why do you want me to be part of your movie? Again, this was pre-Scarface. This is when this is actually going on. So I just thought that was a whole other level of intenseness. Like, not only were you trying to make a movie about a gangster, but you were making it while all this stuff was going on. Because, like I said at the beginning of the episode, Mario was the inspiration for Tony Montana. Tony Montana had a tiger, right? The way Tony Montana dressed. Mario was also a Cuban refugee. He came over on the Mario. So a lot of similarities. You got to give, even though, again, this is the part where I say society has affected us in the way we program our kids and stuff to look up to characters like these outlaws. But Brian and Oliver were like, they must have been like super intrigued and wanting to be part of this like underworld that was going on in the 80s, and to go right then while it was happening, while it was the murder capital. It's kind of like in a corny way, the way Spike Lee went to Chirac and tried to shoot that movie, and it just didn't work out the way it wasn't real enough to really portray the struggle on what's going on in the streets of Chicago with these kids and the rival gangs. I think that Brian De Palma and Oliver Stone did a great job in like
capturing that.
It was almost
feeling.
like a real life documentary.
It's interesting
because they were in the trenches.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of directors will do that when they're doing their research.
But in gangster films, it's usually like a post thing, like we talked
like
about.
A way post thing.
Yeah, it's like 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And even though this is not a biopic, it kind of was a biopic with a lot of the stuff that they took from inspiration from what really was going on in Miami.
Really happening.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if there's any other films.
Didn't do well, but
at the time it didn't, but it became
probably because they didn't
culture
really want
like a cult classic.
Probably didn't want to admit that it was really happening like that.
Well, I don't think we were, again, remember how I say how society affects us. I don't think society was like, yeah, maybe we respected some of these Italian gangsters and stuff, but I don't think we as a society were fully immersed in that type of gangster. I think you had a lot of Western outlaws and stuff like that, Billy the Kids, and that's why I said, before then we looked up to Clint Eastwood and Marlon Brando, right? James Dean. They played these outlaw characters in these movies, and people aspired in some way, maybe a little bit more than less, depending on who you were, depending on how you were raised. But there was something that happened, even though in Scarface was a remake, right? Because there was a Scarface in the 1940s that was based on another Italian
gangster,
gangster, and this was a Cuban gangster. But I think the movie incrementally, after it was released, started to affect certain communities, especially minority, black communities, Hispanic communities, to look up to Scarface. Even though it was a fictional character, people started to embody a lot of people, like, to this day, like, look at Scarface as like Rocky Balboa.
Right.
You
Use
know
it
what
as
I mean?
Inspiration
Yeah.
to kind of work hard and stuff like that. Which
Build shit.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all.
I do.
Why?
I think it's hypocritical.
I don't think taking the good from a bad situation is hypocritical. I think
It
it's
is.
finding a silver lining.
It's cool. It's
It can also be
it's
cool,
going to
but
the
it doesn't
buffet of
necessarily
life.
have to.
It's going to the buffet of life and picking and choosing what you think is.
I think you're allowed to do that. I think it's better to do that.
But then you have to be responsible.
I think it's being responsible to do that instead of just blankly saying this person is awesome. Model myself off after his work ethic.
Yeah.
I think that's okay. Get up every day and work hard at what you want to do. Just make it the right thing.
But
I
it's
don't
also
think that's hypocritical.
If you look up to a Tony Montana, I think you're looking up to, even though you might get inspired by his tenacity and his, initiative, there's still some selfishness that you are attracted to. There is still some, like if you look up to Martin Luther King, then you would be like a humble. I mean, unless you look up to his womanizing, nobody's perfect. There's every one of these like archetypes that we respect have negative qualities, but
And vice versa. Most, if not all of them, including Hitler, have positive qualities.
But there's something about like you choosing to
Like you can look at the positive of almost any situation. That doesn't make it a positive situation at all.
Yeah.
It's still a negative thing. But it could be a positive in every negative thing.
But I don't think
taking-
Mario
So taking that
I don't
out,
think
it's
Mario
okay.
was galvanized by another gangster. He was just in an environment. He liked exotic animals, so he dealt drugs to do. I don't think he was a murderer.
Yeah, that may be true.
And
That may be true, but I'm talking about like
After-
using Scarface particularly as inspiration on some type of level. It's okay to use, especially a fictional character, but a real character, say Attila the Hun, who was some murderous person. I'm sure there's some sort of strategic, military, whatever.
selfishness.
Strategic, yeah, that's also in there. But you have to be able to bust out the levels and the nuances and all this stuff. If you can't learn from a bad thing, a bad situation, then what are you doing?
Learning from it and creating a better outcome, yes. But
Yeah, so-
if you use it as a driving point of your ego to be a selfish, ruthless person,
People are nuanced and you can use their positives in your positive.
so if you took the Scarface role in 80 something that it dropped, and you were a Wall Street broker, okay,
Something like that. I don't know.
then you're basically creating Wolf of Wall Street.
Young Jeezy, get up to the money every morning. He's also talking about dealing drugs, but he's talking about getting up to the money in the morning. So I
Yeah.
get up in the morning and get to the money and not deal drugs.
And be a Jordan Belfort.
No, because that's also like the worst version of whatever. But to your point, Scarface in particular had a code. This Jordan Belfort guy had no code. You know what I mean? You're trying to equate this. It doesn't.
What code does Scarface has?
Don't kill any kids.
But neither is Jordan Belfort.
Who knows? He took the money out of the dude's mouth when he needed all that money. That's his kids or his mortgage money or whatever.
Tony Montana dealt drugs to
He said he don't
communities.
kill kids. You know what I mean? But it doesn't matter if he did or didn't. If there's a positive quality out of it, it's okay to admire that and admire that alone. And
Yeah.
it's also kind of, I think, cool to admire some sort of like dichotomy that people have in that way that like, yeah, he was a piece of shit, but
I think there's some selfishness there that like choosing Tony Montana to be your muse versus somebody like
now what is choosing some positivity have to do with making them your muse?
because it's the structure that
It doesn't have to all be on and off.
No, you're absolutely right. But
That's
it's
what I'm talking about.
the
It's
foundation.
not being all and off. And it
the
doesn't
foundation, though.
who's talking about foundation? I'm talking about that person figured out a cure for cancer, but they also molested children.
Right.
And it's like cancer.
It's human, yeah.
But that doesn't mean I agree with what they did, you know? And I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with that. I don't think it's maybe right either. You know, I'm not going to be mad at people for liking R. Kelly's music, you know? I don't fuck with R. Kelly. I don't want to listen to R. Kelly's music anymore because it makes me think of the things that he did. But if you like Step in the Name of Love, I'm not mad at you for that.
Is it okay to sell drugs to fund your animal habit?
That's
What's worse, him dealing drugs or him bring these animals into captivity?
I don't know. You have to choose what you value more, people or animals.
I would say putting his initial goal to have a whole bunch of animals was his thrive for that. His addiction to that was worse than actually dealing drugs.
That's what he said, right?
I think so.
Yeah, I don't know about him, so I don't know, and I don't want to choose between exotic animals and because who knows how many people he affected, who knows how the animals he affected. So I don't know what's more important. I don't think there should be
just about the same.
Exotic animal farms.
His syndicate.
And I don't think people should be selling cocaine on a mass level.
I think the animal part was worse, as in because it was self-centered and selfish for him to want to bring these animals in for his own pleasure. But the cocaine affected more people.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
fucking Miami.
If people could figure out how to make it not kill you,
it's standing on an elephant's head and driving a ball. Okay, it's the spirit of Miami.
Standing on an elephant and driving.
Remember Mr. Miami episode where they used to have elephants as caddies? In Miami, at the turn of the century, you were allowed to rent a elephant.
Oh, right.
And use him as your caddy as you went through your regular game of golf. Yo, this is what Miami was.
So high. How high are you when you think of that idea? And how rich you got to be to do that shit too.
How human are you?
Yeah, I mean, human as fuck, I guess. Making mistakes left and right.
What is right and what is wrong based on the perception and time you're born into.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You probably be playing with an elephant back then if you was born in Miami.
I mean, I would have been playing with an elephant. I've played with elephants in my life now. So, but I was wrong back then. So that's the thing. I think right and wrong is what it is. And sometimes you're just, no, I think you're just wrong sometimes. And then you end up on the right side of things. Till you decide it's not the right side of things. And then.
Yeah, I struggle with that because it's all about your environment.
I think if I am forced to kill people because that's the only choice I have to do, then I'm forced to be wrong. There's ever no right time. Even if I'm defending myself, killing somebody's not right. You know what I mean? But sometimes you just got to kill them. There's no choice. For one of those, you got to be quiet, or the crazy person is making a bunch of noise and you're like, okay, you got to be quiet, bro. And he's just crazy. So he's like, no, man, blah, blah, blah. It's if I have to kill him to keep him quiet, then I did something wrong. That doesn't mean it's right. It may have had to be done. It may have been, of course, dude, you had to do that. But it's still wrong. It's okay. It's okay to do wrong stuff. I guess you continue to do wrong stuff over and over again for years and years, hundreds of years, make laws around why something is wrong.
Zoos are wrong, right?
I think so.
Yeah, me too.
I went to them as a kid and I enjoyed them. Circuses, SeaWorld, all that shit.
It's wrong.
It's an economy. And then you go all the way to owning a pet dog. Is that right or wrong?
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Well, if I'm forcing the dog to do stuff, if he was smart enough to
You wouldn't treat a human like that.
Wouldn't what?
You wouldn't treat a human like that on both sides, right? You wouldn't bring a homeless man home and treat it as good as your dog. And then again, you wouldn't treat the dog as good as that homeless man if he had a job and was.
It's just, you know, though you can't compare.
You're not bringing a homeless man home.
I'm not
and
bringing
treating
a homeless
him
man.
and treating him as good as your
But
dog.
if the homeless man was docile and I could control him, and I had to feed him from a bowl, and I had to teach him to pee inside and outside, and he didn't understand simple commands and stuff like
Domesticated human.
then who knows, right? If that's the world we're living in, that humans aren't humans. There's like human A.
No, but it's just crazy how humans will bring a creature home and treat it better than a human that's living out on the street and doesn't
Again,
have
like
nothing.
a goldfish is a goldfish and a dude's a dude. You know, I can't. A dude can possibly grab a knife and stab me in my face at night. The dog doesn't have thumbs, so he can't stab me at night.
I tell Cosmo that I was like, "You're worthless because you have no thumbs. You can't even help out around the house."
And he doesn't understand off and on and shit. You know, it's like it's different. So it's not the same thing. It's not that crazy. It's like I don't want a stranger
but just
living in my
creature on
house.
creature.
Yeah, it's just that's the only part I'm not totally. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't treat my dogs wrong. I love my dogs. You know, they make everybody happy. They seem to be happy. They get, you know, reprimanded. I don't beat my dogs. I've hit my dogs, but I don't beat my dogs. So I know at some level that's wrong. Like I know striking him because he's not doing what I want him to do is a version of wrong. And maybe in the future, I'll stop doing that and I'll get better with that. And I think I have already since the 4 years that I've had the dogs.
Yeah.
But in 10 years, when I'm sitting there somehow communicating with Marley and he says to me, "Yo, remember when you were beating me before when I was chewing up your shoes? I don't think you were wrong for that. That's just how, you know, society made you feel and it was okay because, you know, that's the way it was or whatever. Like it's okay because society said it was okay at the time and everybody was doing it. So I'm not mad at you for that. Thanks for now noticing that it was wrong or you're wrong now if you do it. No, you were wrong then. You're wrong now. It's not like the time you were brought up in. Later on, you realize you were wrong, maybe. In the moment, you may not think you're wrong. And shit, maybe other people don't think you're wrong. But if you were wrong now, you were wrong before. The same way it wasn't wrong to sell weed before it was made illegal, but it wasn't wrong. You know how I know? Because now they're selling a shit ton of weed legally. So they weren't wrong then. They just broke a law. Like, just because it's a law doesn't mean it's right or wrong. Like, that's different. Laws and right or wrong are different too.
Huh.
That's how I feel about it.
Yeah. Well, I think the moral of the story.
We haven't really even talked about the guy, really.
We did.
But we kind of did, but we didn't
did.
like turn when he was a kid and how he grew up and stuff like that. But
Well, there's not that much information about him to that
we
point.
mostly talked about like the judicial systems. And
Well, the only thing is that the only thing we know factual is that he was an animal enthusiast.
yeah,
He dealt drugs to fund his animal enthusiasm.
that's so fucking weird.
He's from Miami.
That's not
He
weird.
only served 12 years for the.
100-year sentence.
Well, he was
But it became
an
an informant.
accomplice to
Accomplice?
an accomplice
Accomplice?
accomplice
Accomplice? Okay.
to a murder of a DEA informant.
He was there, bro. He was in the room when Tony Montana was about to get cut up.
I think this episode mostly was the dichotomy of what really is wrong and what really is right.
Right.
And you should definitely watch
and whose,
Tiger
and
King.
and whose fault is it? Is it society's fault? Is it our fault
Exactly.
for like putting them on a pedestal, a Scarface or whatever? Or is it the person's fault? And I think it's the person's fault, not society's fault. Because again, you can put Scarface on a pedestal and admire his tenacity and not go kill people. Like you can do that as a person and make that choice. Just because we're saying Young Jeezy's popular rapper and he got all white bricks, that's Gucci. Doesn't mean I got to go do that.
So, but we're also saying that if a society demands a product and you can provide that service, there is some type of right in that, even though it could lead to wrong things.
If society demands a product
and you can provide that service, there is some, and there might be wrong in that.
I guess it depends on what the product and service is.
Cocaine.
So society demands it, and I can provide
wild
it.
Animals.
There's some right and wrong in that. Yeah, I think so there's right and wrong in all of it, right? I think there's a percentage that we'd have to like iron out whether what's more.
And if we judge people that provide these services and live those lifestyles, we are hypocrites.
Hypocrites? I don't think so.
Yes.
And I think judging them makes you a bad person. I don't think it makes you a hypocrite.
I think it makes us a hypocrite because we are attracted to the story.
I think we can be attracted to it and not agree with it, though.
But us promoting the fact that it's entertaining and that we respect certain
nobody
qualities
agrees with
it.
Train crashes, but everybody's going to watch one, bro.
Yeah, but
nobody agrees with planes falling out of the sky.
You becoming a successful drug dealer is not a train crash.
It can be, and it can be. Yes, it can.
It's riding a skateboard down a half pipe.
It's the same thing.
It's applied practice.
It's the same exact thing. Why you think people watch racing because of the racing?
The sport of it, yeah.
The sport of what, bro? People driving in a circle
of
and
being
conserving
able to,
gas and drafting people,
being able to maneuver in and out of pockets and shit.
No, people watch that shit because there's about to be an accident.
The majority, but there are some people, that watch it for the technicality.
Yes, absolutely. Right. And I don't know that number, but it's probably similar to the number of the people of society to blame versus the people who humans
and
to blame.
The people that are addicted to it or are inspired by the technicality are the small percentage of the people that might eventually become those people because they're looking at the nuance and not the direct thing, where us just looking at the direct action of it is what inspires. We can choose and pick what we want from the story, but the people that are technically attracted to that character most likely will grow up to be those type of people. And because those people exist and society promotes those people, we become hypocrites.
See, I agree with everything you said, except
I might even be misdefining hypocriticalness like I did with racism.
Maybe, but I agree with what you said as far as like I think the small percentage of the people who are gonna like mimic them or
they're attracted to the technicalities.
They're whatever it is, the details, you know, like whatever it is that they kind of relate to. And most of us will look at it and be like, where's the crash? Here comes the crash. I'm going to watch the crash. But just because I'm watching the crash doesn't make me a hypocrite at all.
Yeah, you're a spectator.
No.
You're a spectator in the sport. If you didn't pay for the ticket, that world would never exist.
I'm a hypocrite, I guess, if I go around posting it and saying, you got to watch this. This is the greatest piece of art I've ever seen in my life.
If you buy a ticket to the sideshow, you are part of the entertainment. You are part of the nucleus, the environment. Like, you can't have one without the other. If people are not paying for the show would never exist.
Okay, I agree.
Yo, if we did not confuse you in this episode, you are extraterrestrial.
I agree with that. You can't argue with that.
I'm happy to be back with all this new equipment. I'm happy to be back talking to my bro Thompson. If you missed us, please let us know how you felt about this story and
all of the shows.
Everything.
Tell us how you feel about us. Hate me because I'm pretentious and I don't focus on the conversations. I caught myself doing that this time. I'm like, damn, I really do be going off on a tangent. Oh, well, that's part of the show. Sorry. That's the way we get down.
It's professional conversation. That's what we do. That's what we're a yellow belt in right now.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, it's Fresh Produce Florida Media at Gmail. I can't remember. Yeah, Fresh Produce Florida Media at Gmail. I even remembered to say that. Make sure you email us. Make
It's
sure
up
you
there.
subscribe. Make
Read
sure
it on
you
top.
like. Make sure you share.
Cosmo.
Make sure you become a better person. And if you want to grow up to be Scarface, just remember, it's society's fault. Peace and love, y'all.